thanks everyone today. Hopefully you'll find this to be an interesting conversation. I just want to introduce Dave from the University of Canada West. Um, Dave's here just to talk, maybe introduce himself first and foremost. Talk a little bit about the digital skills gap in Canada, globally, and we might then talk a little bit more about the current and future relationship of University of Canada West and the Digital Marketing Institute. So maybe Dave, do you want to maybe start and give people a bit of an introduction to yourself and your academic and professional background?
Yes, yeah, thanks, Paul. I really appreciate the opportunity to have a chat with you today. And my name is David Kieran. I'm from Canada, Vancouver, British Columbia, to be exact. And right behind me, in my little view, is our wonderful, beautiful new campus. It's at the gateway to Vancouver. We live in a very beautiful city with a lot of beautiful things, as well as some some beautiful mountains and skies around us. So, talking about myself, I'm I don't want to say I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an innovator, and I'm a digital marketer. I've been in sort of multiple different things throughout my career, in launching e-commerce sites, 35 of them to be exact, and working in a variety of different spaces around that. I found my pathway to education and teaching about 4 years ago. Fell in love with teaching. Was teaching an e-commerce course. And that just spurred everything. And it spurred everything into, hey, we got to change this thing, because the way the institutions teach nowadays, we need to bring more application into the school. We need to bring more innovation into the school. And that set me on the journey pathway to finding ways to build what we call now in the University of Canada West is the Innovation Hub, and what we offer it, and these partnerships are what we call industrial partnerships, and partnerships with people like the Digital Marketing Institution and other places like that really give our students the application and the credentials to be successful in the market.
Yeah, very good. So like, obviously you're very passionate. You come from the industry background. You found your way into teaching. Maybe tell us what's been your own observation about the digital skills gap. Like, how does that play out in Canada? What's your observation around digital skills or lack thereof?
Well, and that's it, Paul. There is a lack thereof. And I think that's where, and we're starting to see it really now. We're starting to see the cracks get really big with COVID-19. We see businesses that are unable to get themselves to market, to communicate with their customers in an effective way. They don't know how to approach the customers. They know how to traditionally market to them and communicate them in a traditional way. So how do I get their attention in search? How do I get their attention in Google? How do I get their attention on social media? We're so endowed with communication and things like this, is that we see this huge gap of individuals that don't have the necessary skills to actually close that gap and be able to find that way to get to that element of how do I really personalize and communicate with my target audience in order to get them to react to my product or service. And as I said before, we're seeing those cracks get bigger and bigger with COVID-19, because retailers and service providers can't actually have physical connection with these customers anymore like they had before. These customers are not in places where traditional marketing is usually found. And now they have to really dive into the social world and this digital world, but really not very effectively. And they need people to help them really connect those dots.
Yeah, and I suppose with the innovation hub, it's probably designed to try and address that gap. The pace of technology is relentless. Do you have any observations on how the digital skills gap impacts the country's economy, the local economy? Like, do Canadian businesses, are they at risk to losing retail customers to international online providers, etc.? Like, how does that play out on the ground?
Well, and exactly that, Paul. Like, when we look at that on the ground level, all of a sudden the internet opens us up to a global market. And if you're doing this right, you are going to connect with these customers no matter what, no matter where you are. And those customers are going to interact, they're going to buy from you, they're going to use your services. But if you're not able to do that connection, then local businesses are definitely going to suffer. They're not going to be able to. Now, there is great things that some things around Google, that Google does local, and they promote local elements, but still within the local, there's a lot of competition. So now you have the local competition, you have the global competition, and you have all these challenges. How do you stand out? You're a needle in a haystack. How do you stand out in this situation? And yes, you're right, Paul. We have a big challenge ahead of us because it's not slowing down. It's getting faster. We're moving towards more things like artificial intelligence, and moving towards AI marketing will be eventually the future. And so if we need to get this base element, we need to get them up to speed with the current element so we can prepare them for the future and what's happening. And yes, my friend, it's going to hurt not only individual businesses, and those businesses then hurt the overall economy. Let me give you an idea. 95% of GDP in Canada is based on small, medium-sized businesses. Okay. If those small and medium-sized businesses can't compete in a digital space, Goliath is taking it over. Goliath, like Amazon and other places like that, are going to take over these businesses unless they can get their voice out there. And we need to get their voice out there. We can't let big organizations, we need to have selection. We need to have choice. So.
Yeah, very good. Maybe then just bring it back to University Canada West, the Innovation Hub. Tell us a bit about your process. How do you guys select an industrial partner? An industry standard to come in. What do you look for in that type of partner?
So there's two different approaches to this, Paul. So the first approach that we take to this is that we look at what is current right now. We look at the business market and we say, okay, what's going to make this student or any student successful in the business market? What's going to help them walk out our doors and walk right into a position? And that's the first low-hanging fruit. So the first low-hanging fruit is that, hey, they need some basic understanding, for an example, of digital marketing skills. So what we've done is we've taken the digital marketing associate level badge certification, and we've overlaid that content into our marketing management courses. And then we say, okay, well, those individuals need to have a basic understanding. Now, if they choose a pathway towards digital marketing, then we want to overlay more competencies to help them, provide them, to make sure that they land, again, at that front door of that organization with the right skills to get hired. And so we overlay the digital marketing professional with another layer of a selection of courses built into this track so that they are best set up. So that's the first layer. So we go and we go find partners. They give students some what we call micro credentials inside the courses so that they're able to be job ready. And then in addition to that, we need to make sure these students are cutting edge. And so what we do above and beyond that, and what the hub does, is the hub goes out and sources new ideas, new course content, new things that are going to take them to the next level. So when we talk about, like right now, we're in the mix of building an AI marketing course. We're in the mix of building a neuroscience course around things that we need to start thinking about. How individuals are interacting on the digital basis, for an example, and how are they working on that? How are they finding this information? And how are they thinking? Because when we come from a consumer behavior element, we've thought consumer behavior in a way of traditional marketing. But now we come to a whole new digital marketing, and the consumer behavior is a lot different than the consumer behavior than we're used to. And so we need to make sure that we're giving those students that want to be successful in this space the tools to be successful.
Yeah, no, makes perfect sense. So it sounds like you have a really good balance of innovation and what's coming on down the track, but you're also trying to produce graduates with really good basic technical skills that employers want today or tomorrow. So you've got that balance.
Yeah, Paul, and we actually even complement that. For an example, so we try to bring in a number of different things. We bring experimental learning and work integrated learning into the community. So we talk about experimental learning. We're bringing things like in simulations and things like that to help students get into real application. We're bringing in, we host our own podcast, Innovation Fuel. Please listen. Innovation Fuel, and what we do is that we're really connecting out to businesses. And as I said before, Canada is based on a GDP of 95% small, medium-sized businesses. So we don't need big cases like from big organizations, because these students are not going to handle big problems like this. They're going to handle small, medium-sized problems. So we're bringing like case studies from these local businesses, from businesses in BC and Canada, and eventually we'll expand it out to the globe. But it's the element of getting that small, medium-sized business problems into the classroom so that when they go through a digital marketing course, they can actually start applying some of these challenges and say, how can we be a critical thinker and apply them? And then we overlay that with work integrated learning. So we go out, we partner with a company called Ripen. Ripen is a local provider that connects businesses to
Mm-hmm.
institutions. So we take our capstone projects and we put those out into the ripened community so that we can connect with businesses and get students working on their capstone project that actually helps solve a problem in the business community. And so that's the opportunity of really connecting. So now not only are they getting the credentials that are going to make them successful, but they're getting the experience and the knowledge that when they get to that interview, when they ask that question, what can you bring? What do you can provide for me? Prove it, and then they can prove it.
They can show you. Great. So it's great to hear it. You can't be producing graduates with the practical confidence in their own technical skills and good industrial certifications with academic. Maybe just tell us, how did you find out about the Digital Marketing Institute, and how did that process happen in terms of bringing the certification into University Canada West?
Well, a number of things that, Paul, I was in search. I was in deep search trying to figure out who was going to be the governing body that's going to give us the most amount of support in moving our students to that zone. And so a number of things, a number of conversations with a number of different people, some associates of mine, and the DMI actually did come up in those conversations, and through the study of it, and then finding that DMI has actually got that partnership with the American Marketing Association, made that more convincing that hey, these guys know what they're doing. Their content is great. They have these amazing certifications that are really going to set students up for success, because not only are they collaborating with all these big players like HubSpot and Google and Facebook and all these elements to make sure that they have the relevant content, but then they're partnering with the relevant associations that really are going to give that student credibility. And that was the driving force to push us towards saying, hey, we need a partnership with DMI.
And how did the process of becoming a partner, how was that for you? Did you find it efficient, or was it difficult to get it over the line? What were the challenges?
No, so Paul, we didn't really have any challenges in getting it over the line. I think the only challenge is that when you're going through contract and negotiations and those elements is probably the legal team is the worst challenge that you go through. But it was very smooth sailing. Everybody at DMI was amazing. They helped us. They were very accommodating to all our needs, and we completed it pretty much within a month. Where most of these multiple months to do.
That's great to hear. I suppose it's early days, but you've had some very successful cohorts already. Are you getting a sense of the benefits of the training and certification already for students? Is there any examples of that?
Well, Paul, I love you bringing this up, my friend, because we've had some real big success stories with our internship program based on people who have already done the certification and now have applied it to businesses. We've had businesses writing into us saying, "Hey, my God, this student, is amazing and has helped my business drastically in changing and shifting the direction of it." We had one student in particular that comes to mind, and I thinking about these partnerships that we're developing, and so this student didn't do so well in one course and then did this course again, and based on the certifications and the elements that she got, plus the partnerships with our work integrated learning piece, excelled and got a letter of recommendation from the employer. So it's
that's great to hear.
It is working very well, my friend. And as we talked to our colleagues at DMI recently, I think we just topped 410 for our associate level, which is more and more students are being pushed through it. So I love it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, and we I suppose for academic institutions all over the world, and they have business programs at higher education level degrees, or even post-level degrees, where the work in the final stage is to go maybe work for companies and prove themselves. It's great that you're getting word back from companies that your graduates or your students are performing really well. That's the best validation you can get.
When I look at DMI, when I look at our partnership with DMI, our students, our faculty, other institutions, other things, we're really building a strong community of open innovation.
It's great to hear. And I suppose, again, we speak to universities around the world. There's a real sense in the next 10 years, they'd love to have successful alumni keep coming back to work with them, maybe to study more courses, help out, be involved. So if they're in jobs, they're happy and they're more likely to engage with the university. Maybe tell us, have you got any feedback? I know you mentioned that company writing the referral letter and being really happy with that student. Have you had any benefits or feedback from industry partners about the Innovation Hub and what the UCW are doing?
One of the things you mentioned there was the alumni students, and it is super important for universities to be able to connect with those alumni, because they need to be the mentors of tomorrow. They need to be able to mentor, and if we create that cycle, it's great. It's a great way for us to continue that journey and continue that innovation piece. When we look at other industrial partners and other people that we've had, we've a number of different industrial partners that we work with. We work with Salesforce, we work at Amazon Web Services, and we're starting to see some of those accolades. But again, we're seeing more from DMI because that was our first initiative, and we're now starting to see more coming from the other ones as we start to implement them into our programs.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you had any feedback from maybe business leaders in Vancouver or Canada in general, or even political leaders, to say, we like what you guys are doing, this is really good for the local or the national economy?
In the short, really, Paul, we're at the very sort of grassroots of this innovation hub. We're in a process of really strengthening that partnership network right now. We're actually going through that process. What I can tell you is that what we have learned from our industry partners that help support or we call our PACs, that support our programs, when we bring up these types of these initiatives, we get a lot of excitement, and a lot of excitement from a variety, from small, medium-sized businesses to large corporations. These individuals are sit on our boards to give us direction on what programs and what things to offer. And when we talk to them about these industrial partnerships such as DMI and how we're implementing that into the program, a lot of them are very, very positive and very supporting of us as we move in that direction.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I suppose, like, just we're coming to the end of the interview. Maybe tell us a little bit more about the AMA, like how important is that to your students and the partnership?
Well, just like anything, networking is so important. It's so important to everybody's journey. How do we connect to those opportunities? Right. We look at going on to Indeed and applying to a job right now. We have AI in place. So yeah, good luck in finding that job, because what happens is the AI is determining who's going to be listed and who's going to be shortlisted. And sometimes we don't build a resume in the right keywords in order to do that because we don't have the right experience. So, but I think the best way we can build relationships and the best way we can get opportunities, and the most successful way to get opportunities, is through networks. And so, UCW has partnered, or University Canada West has partnered with a number of institutions. So we've just launched our first BCMA chapter, which is a British Columbia chapter of American Marketing Association. We've also just recently signed an agreement with Startup Grind, which is an affiliation of Google, which is around the grind element. We're partnering with Vancouver Startup to launch all their initiatives within the building. It's so important to bring partners in, associations. We've got a number of other associations that we've talked with, the Women Leaders of Tomorrow. We've got a women's incubation we're bringing to UCW. We have a big push towards diversity. We feel that, and unfortunately at these times, a lot of women, 1 in 5, have lost their jobs over COVID, and it's very unfortunate. And we feel there's an opportunity to really push the university in this direction to support women. We've got scholarships to support women in that space, and we're connecting with all these different women's associations to help support in that element too.
I'm very impressed. I mean, the amount of work that you're doing, it's passion, and it's all really good stuff. I suppose, like, I know it's early days, and we mentioned that you did have a record cohort for of students. But how is the partnership helping with student recruitment? Are you starting to see it helping bring more students into the campus at UCW?
Well, just give you an idea, Paul. Our numbers grew quite a bit. I think we had 120% increase or more in our numbers over the last year, despite of COVID. So something is happening,
Yeah,
my friend. And I
yeah,
think, some of it has to come back towards these associations and these industrial partners that are, I think students are looking and saying, hey, by the end of this day, I need a job at the end of this journey. And in this university is moving towards not only giving me the critical thinking skills, the collaboration skills, and all those soft skills we need, but they're also giving me some credentials that
mm,
open up that door and giving me some ideas and giving me some times to get in and get some of that work experience in order to set them up for success.
yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. And I mean, again, we can only say from working with our academic partners and talking to students ourselves, I think there's a real appetite for people to, if I'm going to put 3 or 4 years worth of work in, I want
Yeah,
to be pretty sure I can get a job at the end of this. So that's a big
yeah,
driver for people, and it's great to see that. Um,
yeah.
is there any
And
other?
Paul, we're
Just oh, go ahead.
also,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, Paul, we're also working on another initiative that I'm trying to do is around module learning
Mm,
piece where, we're trying to get to a point where I want to make education flexible. I want to make it flexible so students can come at their own time and space and be able to complete it at their own time. And so we don't affect them. So maybe we give them the DMI credentials, we give them the tools, and then they go off and they start doing some of these things. And then we support them with other tools, like we said, other more advanced things they're going to help advance that certification to even further so they can excel in that job as they're moving towards their degree.
oh, it's great. It's great stuff. I suppose just finishing up, is there any? Tell us a bit about the future. Like what's really exciting you? What are you looking to achieve? Or like, there's a lot happening. What are the big projects for the next 12 months?
Well, the biggest thing that I want to do is really harness this community effort. I think and why I put the World Innovation Hub is because I believe universities are a hub to everything, and they should be a hub to everything. And meaning that I want to connect through community, and I think community then helps with open innovation. And what I mean by that is that when we bring our faculty, our students, our employees, our staff together with our partners, our community partners, business partners, government partners, all those pieces, and then we connect them to assets, innovation assets, things that support their education and their journey, give them ideas that might help create innovation, and then put them in the right spaces, leverage the spaces that we have in our community, but leverage our community partners to drive idea and to drive that into something. And that will all, if we're all working together in collaboration, I believe that we can all achieve so much more than an individual. And we can see this in a lot of business startups, guys. We can see this out there. The old world of the single startup, it doesn't work anymore.
Mm,
It's more about, you still need the founder, but you need a section of co-founders that can complement to that leader's vision in order to get it to achieved. And that's what we're trying to develop at UCW and within the GUS Canada and the GUS network.
That's great to hear, and I think it's great for people to know that you can build a career as an entrepreneur. You can be a digital entrepreneur, or you can just build a business career for yourself. There's lots of flexibility of options. Just to finish off, I suppose interestingly, sometimes this comes up as a topic. Obviously, our certifications fit best with a business faculty or an innovation hub. Is there any signs of other departments in the campus, like sometimes science departments showing interest in digital marketing, or have any other departments shown an interest in building another career plan for their graduates?
Well, and you're right, Paul. And one of the things is, so we're predominantly a business and technology school, so innovative business and technology school. We focus mostly on business. However, we're connected to a company called Global University Systems, which has 30 universities all across the world, and a lot of those universities have a variety of different types of programs, from medical doctors to architecture, to a variety of different other things and we're constantly looking to how do we bring some of those pieces in to support our community. Because yes, you're right, we want to make sure that people are educated. So not everybody that is a business person needs this digital marketing knowledge. Everybody needs this digital marketing knowledge. So we want to support entrepreneurs that are starting out their business idea, but they need to understand, if they're coming in and they want to join they want to go into, the fashion industry, or they want to go into the, I don't know, a variety of different things out there, but how do we connect them? And so we also partnered with DMI, Digital Marketing Institution, to also offer an outside element to allow them to access the content for DMI through the reseller model that we offer within the school, so that we can connect with other people outside the university to help support them in their journey to get that knowledge.
Oh, that's great stuff. Well, look, I mean, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Dave. So I really thank you for your time, and I think other academic institutions will find this interesting to get your insights.
Mhm.
You're doing so much, so it's to your credit and UCW's credit too.
Yeah, and Paul, like as I said, it's all about collaboration. So if there's any other institutions out there that would like any of my support, or we can find some ways to work together, hey, more than happy to have conversations to figure out how that work, because it's all best if we're working together. As I said, as a community, we can do so much more.
Great stuff. I'll leave it there. Thanks very much, Dave.